Hello again, Struck Co-op. Today I'm bringing you another build video for Torchlight 3's Cursed Captain class, and this one is again for the Bane subclass, and it's this time a Minion centric build. I called it the Miasma Crewmancer because well, it uses Miasma and it uses a lot of crewmates and stuff like that to summon. So yeah, people have been asking me for a Minion build, one with Bane, centered around fire. Well, this is it. This is it. Tomorrow there's gonna be another one with Electrode, more out of the box, but in my opinion with better DPS build. So if this one seems a little bit underwhelming to you, well then maybe the one from tomorrow would seem better. It's not a bad build, by the way. It's a decent build. Yeah, it's not amazing. It's not on the meta level of a Realm Master and Bane like my Miasmic train setup. So it's different, but it's still good. It still can clear out reasonably quickly. So it's not sluggish. It's not at the bottom tier. It's not at the top tier either. It's close to the top. Somewhere between middle and top tier maybe is where I would put this. It's a good setup, and we're using Miasma, we're using Puppet Master, Imbue Relic to keep Miasma up, using the fire skill as our major crewmate, and we're using Powder Crew. Powder Crew and First Mate are bugged. But First Mate is bugged in such a way where it's much better to use Powder Crew than First Mate, because First Mate doesn't do damage with its regular attacks, only with its skill attacks and things like the barrels that it summons, whereas Powder Crew is bugged in such a way where you can't resummon that crewmates until the skill has been despawned, so until 120 seconds have passed without you using the skill. I think this is much better in terms of bugs. But yeah, I like the build, I hope you like it, and if you don't, hopefully the one tomorrow will be better for you. So let's talk about the skills of the build, why I took them and at what levels. But before we do that, first you need to know I'm using 3 pieces of the Commodore set, which are the cape, the jacket and the pauldrons. Ideally you would be using those same 3 pieces to get +2 to piracy skill levels. It's +1 and plus another one from the set bonus of having 3 pieces, and +2 to cursed skill levels. Now that you know this, you would understand why this is 8 points and not 10, because it's 8 plus 2. And this is 8 plus 2. And this is 4 plus 2. So it's still level 6, it's still level 10, it's still level 10. And then this is 4 plus 2, 10 plus 2. This means the skill is getting extra damage from those over levels. So level 10 might be the maximum you can put into a skill, but bonus levels from things like the Commodore set, or from helmets, or from weapons that can give you plus X to a certain level, still gives you an extra bonus weapon damage to the skill. So having 12 levels in Powder Keg is actually worth it. 12 levels in fire is actually worth it. This is 4 plus 2 and this is 4 plus 2 just for that passive. But if you think that this passive is not really needed, if you think 5%, do I really need it? I mean, I'm assuming it's stacking, but I can't really tell you if it really stacks. Let's test it. See, you can see that effect. You cannot see that effect. It just doesn't show up here. So I can tell you if this effect stacks. So you might want to remove those points and put them somewhere like here to get extra boon generation, or maybe give this 2 more points. Or maybe even put it even over here for relic skills damage, which I wouldn't recommend. Alternatively, you can put out of those 4 points 2 points here, and then maybe put some points into this and get a chance to poison in your shield. But yeah, there are ways you can invest those points to get something out of certain things. I mean, you can even experiment with maxing this one out. Right now I think it's fine to have those 4 points into Broadside, because I have Broadside as a filler. And it feels good to have that little bit of extra damage and the duration of Broadside being doubled. That's why I've decided to stop on this setup. Now Wraith Walk is here just for the Cursed Captain skills cooldowns and to use as a mobility. We want that extra 1 charge and we want that cooldown reduction. We don't need the tier 3 bonus, so 4 points plus 2 is enough. Here we want everything, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 and as much damage as we can squeeze for that skill. Meaning you would want extra levels from helmet and maybe from the weapon some extra levels in Powder Keg won't hurt. And you would want percent damage to Powder Keg in your shoulders, legs and chest if you can. Fire, another thing that you could try stacking extra damage to. My idea would be to stack damage for Powder Keg because I think it's better, but if you feel like going the fire way, then you would stack 3 levels to fire from the helmet, 3 levels to fire from the weapon, 2 levels to fire from the piracy skills increase, and you would stack over 30% damage from the shoulder, chest and legs to get like close to 100% extra increase to fire, and then fire could be very, very solid. But I still prefer stacking Powder Keg damage, to be honest. It's good on bosses and champions to have that burst potential. Now this one is just there to increase the damage of Powder Keg and fire. We don't use it as an active skill. This one, I think 8 plus 2 is enough. You get the tier 1, 2 and 3 bonuses, which is great. This one I like it tier 3, so 8 plus 2 is enough. I like the tier 1 bonus, I like the tier 3 bonus. The tier 2 bonus you do not need. Damage to your pet means your pet. This pet. That pet. That's the pet that gets extra damage bonus, not your minion, so don't get confused. Where it says pet, it means pet. Where it says minion, it means anything that's not your pet or you, with some exceptions like the Explodobots from the Toy Maker stuff. Here I've only put points into this as a passive. We don't use Ghost Ship. However, if you want, you can replace that and use Ghost Ship, but it costs boons, so it's just not reasonable. With such a high boon cost, it's better to use Broadside. Here this is just to get that extra rifleman crewmate. That's just the only reason. Now Miasma you wanna max out, Puppet Master you wanna max out, and some extra points into Energizer are not bad. If you feel like you wanna go the extra spread of death round for a little bit of extra DPS, not bad, yeah, sure. You can put points into spread of death, but then you would need chance to poison in the shield. Right now I'm using chance to shock because I'm gonna be using the same shield for my electrode build. I don't want to keep switching. It doesn't matter what you put, you're probably better off putting defense. If you're not gonna use spread of death, the best thing you can get is defense. But if you want chance to poison to use spread of death, this is the one you want. Chance to poison for X base damage for Y seconds. This is it. Not that one at the bottom, the one above it. That's the good one. More about that in the gear segment. And I think that pretty much sums up the skills. Let's move on to the Legendarium. So Ancient Ember Boots you can either wear or equip. You have to decide, do you want to wear the Woods Beast boots or do you want to wear the Ancient Ember boots? Pick one, whichever gives you the better stats, use. So if you have better defense and crit damage and maybe ice damage on Woods Beast boots, wear them. If your Ancient Ember boots are better rolled, then wear those. Whichever you wear, slot the other one in the Legendarium. I would suggest slotting the Lil General, and then here there are choices. I personally prefer using the Showman. I've never tested the many tentacled one, and ideally if you're focusing on damage to fire, you might wanna get the many tentacled one and test how it goes. Since I'm not maxing out Broadside, Big Fish would not be that great of an idea, but if you have Big Fish and you don't have the other ones, you might as well use it. Another thing you might want to experiment with is the Crab Collar. That would be pretty good. And there are other choices which you can experiment with, but in general those are the best choices. This one, if you need some more boon generation, is not bad. This one for extra survivability is not bad. Winter Weave Cuirass, which I'm gonna show you from my inventory, is not a bad choice if you want some extra item work and movement speed. There are few other choices. For example, Bone Walker could be nice for 3 skeleton knights, or you can use Bone Razor. But again, those would not benefit from the Wraith Walk of Powder Crew, yet they will still benefit from the minion damage. There are other choices such as the Woods Beast Powder. There's all sorts of choices to use for minion stuff, but in general I'm giving you my preferred choices to not confuse you, not give you too much alternatives. Next, let's talk about the pet skills. I like using Deadlier Strikes, Zoomies, Battle Cry and Healing Friendship. Deadlier Strikes combined with the Woods Beast Sandals, either equipped or in the Legendarium, gives you a maximum crit chance at 40%. You cannot get any more. I mean, you can get any more, but you're not gonna actually get it. It stops at 40%. Zoomies works very well with things like the Token of Invigoration, this one, and with the Dryad's Neckband. I like Battle Cry for extra damage. If you wanna stack the defense of Defender with the defense of Miasma, you might wanna replace Deadlier Strikes, but then you're gonna have to put crit chance in your items. And I like Healing Friendship. It's fun. It's nice to have extra healing, and Healing Friendship synergizes very well with the way I'm using Token of Invigoration and stacking cooldown to pet active skills and attack speed to the pet. And that's it for the skills. Next we're gonna show you the items. Here we are at the gear segment, where I'm gonna show you the items I've picked and why, and what affixes you would want on each. First, let's mention all the items. Token of Rapid Bartering, Token of Invigoration, Dryad Neckband for the pet. You want 3 pieces Commodore. Ideally the 3 Commodore pieces would be the cape, the shoulders and the chest armor. Then you want Frostwall alongside either the North Mace or the Glacier's Edge. The Glacier's Edge looks like this, North Mace looks like this, and Frostwall, I wonder if I can show you here. Well, let's show you from the style station. This is what the Frostwall actually looks like. I've got them remodeled to just have that green Bane look. But yeah, you'd want Frostwall alongside either the Mace or the Glacier's Edge, whichever rolls, it doesn't matter. Whichever rolls with better stats, use that one. Then you would want ideally Winter Weave Gauntlets for a little bit of extra survivability, but you can end up using other things such as Arc-powered Gauntlets. It's not gonna be that terrible of a choice, even without the set bonus, or something else, or Blue Gauntlets even, it doesn't matter that much. But Winter Weave is nice for extra survivability. Winter Weave Pants is nice for extra potion cooldown, but you don't have to use them, you can use something else. You can use the Commodore Panther Wounds if you want to, for extra emergency situation healing and cooldown reduction with Take a Week. Or you can even use things like Blue Pants or whatever else you feel fits there. This is up to you to decide. I personally prefer using Winter Weave Pants for extra potion cooldown. Then you want, as I mentioned in the previous segment, either Woods Beast Sandals, Woods Beast Boots, or the Ancient Ember Boots. Pick one, wear it, pick the one that you have with better stats, with better rolls, and wear it. And the one that you don't have good rolls on, swat in the Legendarium. And what is a good roll? Let's talk about the pet items quickly. On the pet items, you want on all 3 of them to have faster cooldown for pet active skills like this in the middle, and you would want pet attack speed again in the middle. So instead of this pet crit chance, you would want pet attack speed alongside the faster cooldown for pet active skills. On the Dryad Neckband in the socket, whatever you want, put there. On the other ones, in the socket you want this thing, faster cooldown for pet active skills. You can only get this on pet tags, that's why I said whatever you won't get there. But here and here you want in the socket the faster cooldown for pet active skills. We're using token of rapid bartering to be able to get money faster, to get the pet to return from the town and bring us money faster, and we have less downtime, so we have the pet aura. But if you don't like it, if you don't feel like you're doing farming and you're just not picking up everything, then don't take it and take whatever else. But invigoration and the neckband, drat neckband are must have. Now for the weapon, you would want ice damage. I mean, you always have ice damage at the top, so you want a high amount of it, over 5000 on a 60 item without the Fazeer bonus. Obviously with the Fazeer bonus, that becomes better and better. Then you want flat damage. By flat damage I mean something like this physical damage here. You want something like that. It doesn't matter whether it's physical, ice, poison, whatever you get is great. Obviously ice is the best thing. If you get good ice damage, perfect. If you don't, well, so be it. Just whatever flat damage you can get. If you get a second flat damage, even better. Now, priority number 2 would be things like crit damage and plus 3 skill levels to Powder Keg or to fire. Ideally Powder Keg, but if you're using the fire item and you're stacking fire damage in the shoulders and stuff, then sure, you can try and stack levels to fire. Chance to freeze is not bad. From all the bad rolls, chance to freeze is the best. Crit chance, avoid it because you already have max. Crit damage caps at 300%, so keep that in mind when stacking crit damage. And all the other things like chance to poison, chance to burn, bleed, slow, bind, etc. knockback, avoid. So ideally you would have flat damage, flat damage, flat damage, but this never happens. So 2 times flat damage and crit damage, or 2 times flat damage and 3 levels to Powder Keg, or flat damage, crit damage, damage to Powder Keg would be great choices. On the shield you want defense around 9-10,000 at the top, 14-15,000 chance to block, and then in the middle you want more regular defense, physical. As much defense as you can get. If you get a mix of 3 different defenses, sure, okay, not bad. If you just avoid health, avoid slow, avoid other things that are not defenses. Obviously the more physical defense the better, because you want at least 60% in this number here. And the other ones ideally would be 65 or higher without buffs and stuff. Because look at my defenses now when I use Miasma. That's my defenses when I use... So this is not terrible, but still this is kind of like the numbers you would want without having to use skills. Then for the cape, you would ideally want plus 3 levels to Powder Keg as your top choice, or plus 3 levels to fire if you're going for fire. Then the rest would be defense, defense, defense. Energy generation is not bad, energy cost reduction is not bad, but when you're using the Ancient Ember Boots, it's not that important because you have Imbue Relic. On the shoulders, this is probably one of the best situations you can get for this build. Defense at the top, crit damage and damage to Powder Keg in the middle, and defense in a socket. So this is perfect. Instead of damage to Powder Keg, you might wanna get damage to fire when you're doing the fire centric setup, where you're stacking damage to fire and levels to fire. Here you would want something like this, but instead of HP you would have defense and defense. So you see, the one I'm wearing is defense, poison defense, gold chip damage and defense. The one I'm wearing should have been defense, damage with Powder Keg, crit damage, flat damage or ice damage percent. Flat damage would have been the better, but I think flat damage they've removed. I've never seen it since the last patch. So maybe something like that. Damage to Powder Keg, crit damage and ice damage in the middle would be your best choice. And then you would want a socket to put more defense. This would be his chest. If it had defense and if it was Commodore jacket and if it had a socket, would have been perfect. Then on the legs, you would want kind of the same stats as this, but keep in mind the legs don't get crit damage. They can get crit chance, which you don't want because you already have max. So you would want this damage to Powder Keg on the legs, you would want this percent ice damage, or if it still exists, but again I haven't seen it, flat damage, any type of flat damage. But yeah, I would say high priority would be damage with Powder Keg, priority number 1, and priority number 2 would be flat damage or bonus ice damage. And why ice? Because this one always has ice at the top, which would be our strongest attack number. That's why ice damage here, here and here would be nice. And then you would want more defense, regular physical defense in the sockets. On the boots, you see how I have poison damage and fire damage. Well, you would want ice, but what's more important is crit damage in the boots. Boots can roll crit damage just like shoulders and chest, and number 1 priority would be crit damage. Boots cannot give you damage to a skill. That means crit damage is number 1 priority. Number 2 would be bonus ice damage, and then after that defenses and stuff like that. In the gauntlets, you would want as much defense as you can. That's the only thing you care about. Sure, duration to Miasma, duration to Dread Banner maybe, things like that are not bad, but I would prioritize defense and maybe duration to Miasma if you don't have Imbue Relic. Then minus energy cost to relic skills, or plus relic energy generation. They're not bad if you don't have Imbue Relic. If you have it, you might not see much need of it if you play it well. So defense should be the biggest priority here. And this I think pretty much sums up all the pieces of equipment and the stats you might want to get. Now let's show you more gameplay footage. And here we are at the gameplay segment. I'm gonna show you a little bit more footage now of the build in action and talk about rotating playing the build. The rotation is not that difficult. You probably would wanna start with well, summoning your minions from Call the Crew. And then next you might want to lead in with a black spot on an enemy so that Call the Crew and any other minions would focus that enemy. Then you would want to use Dread Banner, and after that you probably would want to use Imbue Relic to trigger the Lil General buff and get energy, then use Miasma. After that I would say spam 3 Powder Kegs, and after that start spamming Fire, Wraith Walk, Fire, Wraith Walk, Fire, Wraith Walk. Wraith Walk collects the doubloons, Fire consumes them and summons minions. Pretty simple, eh? To get notified when I upload more content for this game or other games like this one, which would be wooters of all varieties, isometric, third-person ARPGs, wooter shooters and all sorts of wooters like that, you could subscribe to my channel and hit that bell button to not miss out on my content updates. And optionally, you can even join as a member of the Struck Club on YouTube as a channel member to get access to exclusive perks such as special emotes custom made by me, special badges custom made by me that represents how many months you have been a member for, as well as opt-in of editing tutorials that I can give for Photoshop, Adobe Premiere, as well as shoutouts and things like that. And I would like to use this part of the video to thank all my YouTube members and Twitch subscribers. Thank you for supporting the channel and keeping me going. Thank you also for watching this video, everyone. Keep it cool, Struck Club. Until next time, and goodbye.